What's up, fam? Coach Cam. Today we are back again with another video. Today's video, we're going to be discussing why working out should not be your entire personality and it should not be your main goal in life. Okay, so I know for myself, when I was younger, exercise, fitness, which included running, calisthenics, that stuff was a huge priority in my life. Obviously, I still went through high school, college, married my wife. Now I have three boys. So, like, life moves on, even if you have a high priority of fitness. And having a high priority of fitness is good. And it's something that a lot of people don't have at all. So, if you do prioritize your health and fitness in your training, you're already a league above the rest of people who don't even mindfully think of that at all. And they just live their lives without training their muscles and missing out on tons of benefits throughout their lifetime, right? So I want to say that if you prioritize lifting and training, that is a great thing. And we are already in a league of our own of people who do that. Now, within that league, I'm talking to you guys specifically, we need to consider our priorities, and is working out the number one priority? Is it something you have to do every single day? Are you putting other things in life that maybe should come above that? Are you putting working out first, right? Above, say, family time, or maybe working another job that would help provide for your family, right? I know for myself, I used to work out 5, 6 days a week. I would run 5, 6 days a week. And at the time, it works, right? It works for a period. It works when you're single. It works if you're in your early 20s, don't have a ton of like life responsibilities. You have one job, right? That maybe you only work like 40 hours a week, which I know 40 hours a week, that's a lot. Well, it's not that much. I'm working like 80 hours a week now. So it just depends, right? It depends on what stage in life you're in. But I would highly recommend having a realistic view of your priority of working out. Keep it a priority and a big one, right? Obviously, it's a big one for me. I have an entire home gym dedicated to training, and I train when I can, and my wife trains, and my kids are going to grow up working out. And so, those are things that I'm super happy and look forward to, and I'm proud of. Um, but working out cannot be something that you put above everything else. And while thankfully it only takes like half an hour to an hour to do a session for most people, most training, that will keep boundaries on your training to where it's not overflowing into the rest of your life. But if you keep grinding your workouts and pushing yourself over and over every single day, not only are you going to find less joy and fulfillment, you might even start getting sick, injured, and hurt. You might start being more moody and treating your family worse. I know for me, when I'm overtrained, sleep deprived, I am a terrible person and I'm not fun to be around. I'm not uh, enjoying my time when that's me. So, in the last few years, I have found ways to reduce my total training volume so that I can add in more things, right? So I can pursue my career as a firefighter, so I can pursue my family and improve my relationships with them and spend time with them, right? So, like I said, if you're a single person, then you can put muscle building and training as like your number one priority and pretty much dial in all your meals, your sleep, when you wake up, when you go to the gym, whatever you want to do when it comes to that. You can dial that in and train all the time. But as life goes on, you're going to find periods where you cannot train all the time. Maybe you're in a very difficult period in school where your schooling is very, very stressful, and you would say, well, I need to work out because that's how I de-stress and that's how I. Yes and no. It adds stress. It still adds stress. And I know you think it de-stresses you. I remember when I was in college and I thought running was only a good thing and only a good stress. Well, I ended up doing 5 really hard workouts and a race within a 9-day period. So every other day I ended up doing a hard workout, and I overtrained severely to where it took me a couple months to get back to that fitness level because I'd pushed myself too hard and done too much training. So while you think it's a good stress, and in most of the ways it is a good stress, if you add up too many of the good stressors of training, it can very well be a bad stress, right? You can very well be addicted to it, and you could be missing out on major components of your life and interfering with your life by putting working out on such a high pedestal as a main priority. I know for myself, when I trained every single day, and once I had a kid, it was a lot harder to go do that because I knew to drive to the gym, do the workout, come home. Even though I lived close to the gym, it's still going to be an hour, hour and a half, and I'm not going to see my kid for that time. And I might have just worked an 8 hour day, a 9 hour day, and then I'm going to go do that. Oh, and by the way, by the time you come home, guess what? It's time for them to go to bed. So, best case scenario, you're tucking them into bed and you didn't even get to see them, right? And I think that's sad. And I think if you could have a home gym, that will help you to train in a shorter amount of time or train when it's even more convenient, which would actually be after they go to bed, which is something I've only started doing recently, but it's helped a lot because that way I'm not feeling guilty and feeling like I just missed an opportunity with my family. So family priority is definitely above fitness. And I would highly encourage you, everyone watching this who is very into fitness, please put your family above fitness. You're not going to shrivel up into a skinny, scrawny person if you miss a workout. You're not going to become less dedicated, less motivated, or less committed if you move your workout to another time or just do it the next day. You're not less of a person, you're not less of a competitor. And guess what? Most of the time, no one's going to know. No one's even going to know. You're the only one that's going to know. So if you go on vacation, stuff like that, consider, is this a time that I want to work out and I can go down to the hotel gym? Or is this a vacation that's like, not really going to be working out on this vacation? Like, we have a lot to do, a lot planned. We're going to be somewhere where there's no gym. Then don't work out, and that's important, I think, to have that balance, right? To still love training and want to do it and know that it's the most beneficial thing for your mental health, for your body, but still have that boundary in place that you can say to yourself, hey, I'm going to put the brakes on. I'm not going to do it for these certain times, these periods, and try to make room for other things in your life. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm 29 years old, but before this, I had always worked out as much as I wanted, whenever I wanted. When I was like 20 years old, I would literally go to a trail and run like 2 to 5 miles, and then I would go to a park and do pull ups, push ups, dips, ring push ups, ring dips, muscle ups. And so that whole amount of time was probably like 2 to 3 hours of training. And I would do that while I was in college because I could and I liked it and I wanted to. But I think it's important that as we get older, as we have more responsibilities, that we critically think about our training and how can we get the training volume to a manageable level so that you don't have to spend hours a day, so that you don't have to find yourself missing out on important, valuable time with your family or working a second job, especially you guys out there. I know I made this mistake when I was between 20 and 25, 26 years old, thinking, okay, I can just work my main job and that should provide for me. I should work my main 40-hour a week job and that should make enough income from me and my family. Well, that was dumb. And I look back and I think, man, I should have been working a second job. And while I somewhat did, I was a track and cross country coach as well, but that really didn't bring in any appreciable income whatsoever. And so, honestly, if you're a younger person, I recommend working two jobs. Especially if you're a guy, you will save more money, you will get ahead, live below your means, work more. And you can still train. You can still train, right? We have research studies, tons of studies to back up the fact that training frequency isn't that important, and you could still train your entire body in like 2 workouts a week. If you really had to cut down, and make room for other things in your life, just train twice a week or maybe 3 times. But once you start going above like 3 workouts a week, you're kind of getting into junk volume. Like you're probably doing a ton of reps that aren't very stimulating, and they're either just part of the workout or you're creating workouts with volume that's excessive. And it's not as beneficial for you. It's not very stimulating, and it's going to increase your recovery time, which can lead, obviously, it can snowball over time to overtraining, burnout, being exhausted, negative impact on your relationships with your family. So, the point of this video, back to what I initially started this on, which is working out should not be your number one priority in your life. And that is coming from me, who I am an avid gym rat and I love sports and I love fitness. I like watching other people who are bigger than me, stronger than me, fitter than me, faster than me, and seeing them thrive in their sport and their routine. But it's important to make adjustments and know that, hey, those people don't have family time. They don't have a spouse and kids a lot of the time. They're training with teams. They're able to have personal chefs do all their meals and macros and all that type of stuff. And I don't think it's sustainable for the average person to do that, to push for having all your meals perfect and all your training dialed in. It's messy, right, guys? Life is messy. Having kids is messy. And you're going to have to reach a point where everything is spiraling and you just have to jump in and get what you can, right? And do your best and push yourself hard and be smart about it. But it's not going to be all about you, I guess is what I'm saying. That your time will be taken up by other things in your life. Maybe not at the point you're in right now, but in the future, you might need to work more. In the future, you might have the death of a family member, or you might need to move somewhere or sell your house or buy a house. And there's going to be times where you can't get in all the workouts that you want. For myself, this past month, I keep getting sick. I had strep throat. I had it for 7 days. Somehow I didn't finish the medicine. And then after a couple more days, it came back. So then I had strep throat again, took more medicine, which has been interfering with me being able to train uh, as frequently and intensely as I would like. And then I even just recently, last weekend, got basically a sore throat, sinus infection thing all over again. It's really annoying. And I have to juggle my life stress and figure out what's going on and recover. So I can't add in a bunch of extra workouts. I can't train and double my volume. I'm trying to just complete the training volume that I already set up for myself, right? So if you're sick, another thing, there goes some of your training time, right? If you're sick, if you're injured. But what happens is a lot of people put their training such a high priority that it's part of their identity. And so when they can't train, they feel like they've lost part of their identity. They get insanely depressed and miserable. Thankfully for me, I have other areas that are a part of my identity that aren't just training, so that when I can't train, I still have a purpose. I still have fulfillment. I still have things to do. Um, so that's another important thing, is to keep training in a proper perspective, knowing that it's not everything. It's not all about you. And I think that's a problem with social media and gym culture today. It's thinking that it's all about you and that you can just go do whatever you want, and you're prioritizing yourself and you're putting yourself first and you're self-healing and self-help and all that. Maybe for a while, but you're not going to be able to keep that mentality for your whole life. Still train your whole life and train hard and get the benefits, but I would not put training above my children or my wife. And when it came down to it, right? If it came down to, if I had to choose, like, take care of my family versus never train again, I would have to choose never train again, right? So hopefully this video helps you understand that training is one part of your life. It's basically a really important side quest that I want everyone to start and continue on and be committed and dedicated. But at the same time, you need to have the proper perspective of what is important in your life. And training, in my opinion, is not something that should be held so highly that it starts negatively impacting your health, your relationships, your ability to work multiple jobs, especially if you are planning on growing a family or having your wife stay home or even getting married. It's time to start stacking money, right? It's time to start doing other things and keep training in there. But at the same time, it's not the number one thing, right? Hopefully you guys like the video. If you have any comments on this topic, leave them down below. Like, share, and go ahead and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.